This is the Man-Eater, Maria Manic, and you're listening to another wrestling podcast.
It's time for another wrestling podcast. All right. Are you fucking kidding me?
Guys, I got blocked again on Twitter.
I'm your mark of marks.
That's the most reliable source on the interwebs.
The social assassin at your disposal, bitches.
It's the end of the year, guys. I'm still the mark of marks. I'm Credo.
And I am Minority Mike, and I'm on time.
And you're very enthusiastic, and I'm a very exhausted, angry fucking hooter at your disposal, bitches.
It's the end of the year. I deserve to be mellow, and it's been a rough 2019.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get this shit over with.
That's right, guys. We're closing down. We're closing down shop for the end of the year. Christmas is next week. Happy holidays, Kwanzaa. What those other things? I don't know. I don't celebrate. Festivus, Hanukkah, all that stuff.
Kwanzaa.
So whatever you're celebrating, celebrate it. Have fun, enjoy it. But it's the end of 2019 for us. We do have newly Ring of Honor. Maria Manic's going to be joining us. She's going to be sitting down with JB. They'll talk a little bit about Ring of Honor and all that stuff soon. But guys, it's the end of the year. Out like a lamb. We're not going out crazy. It's just, it is what it is. 2019 came. A lot of good things have happened in between. But I do want to bring up a thing that I laughed at this week. And really quick, it was 1 year ago this week, whatever day it was the day that the McMahons, Triple H, all them, they walked out and were like, we're going to listen to the fans. We want to give you guys what you want. We're going to... And I forget what exactly happened, that they came out and what the fans were talking about WWE Online and all this other stuff. And, it was kind of like, all right, well, maybe they're going to listen. But one year, yeah. I feel like, wow, I feel like it's either an eternity ago or it almost seems like yesterday, but at the same time, like, what even happened within that 1 year? Did anything come from this? I mean, we're still getting the Lana getting married story.
You forgot the two things that came from that.
What's that?
The fact that our intelligence got insulted, as if to say the McMahons weren't in charge of the shows before. I remember that conversation we had.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna be in charge now, not these GMs.
That's right. Yep.
And what did we get? We got a fucking Baron Corbin. I don't even want to call him like a heel turn because he's always been a heel, but it was more like a scapegoat, a Baron Corbin scapegoat.
Yeah.
It's probably they're like, hey, let's give this a try. Let's let the fans dictate what we do. And then there was a certain fan that probably wrote a letter and said, hey, you guys should push Summer Rae and always take care.
Oh, god damn.
Oh my god, go back to the archives to understand that one. But still, yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's one of those things. 1 year later, I feel like we should be on a totally different level. But 2019, we talked a lot about 2019. A lot of things have happened in 2019, but more importantly, a few things happened last week. We just came out of the TLC pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view for WWE. We came out of Final Battle for Ring of Honor. A lot of shows just ended this year, and even this week, a lot of good shows that happened on TV. But, Cooter, from what I understand, you have something to say about TLC?
No, I didn't even watch TLC. That's how great it was. I did not watch TLC. You know why?
Why is that?
Because I told you last week about my changing of the credit card with the subscription thing.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my New Year's resolution. Make me resubscribe to the WWE Network. Do something to get me to resubscribe. Because, it happened by accident that, I'm not watching. And the one reason why I kept the network was NXT. But guess what? NXT is now on USA. And the takeovers are also on Hulu. So give me a reason to get the network, because I don't know, like a week and a half build on your TV to like TLC. You can't just put something like TLC as the name of a pay-per-view with no build and think that, oh, wow, we're going to watch this, or I'm going to pay to see that. No, I didn't, and I don't give a fuck about it. I don't know what happened on it. I don't care what happened on it. It's make me subscribe again, because right now you have nothing.
Okay, Kudos, the funny thing for me, well, it's not funny, but the thing with me is I don't want to pay $50, $60, how much these pay-per-views are just to watch them regularly. So regardless, even if there's nothing on there, I still like the fact that I'm paying $10 a month to see a pay-per-view for free. So am I going to see you at my house the next few months trying to get free pay-per-views out of me, or what? Or how could they get you back? What would be maybe something that you could think of that would entice you to want to watch? Is it a pay-per-view, a show, a series, or something?
I don't know, better build up to pay-per-views, because I think you have too many pay-per-views. I think they've done a poor job of setting the table, so to speak. And everything is rushed because we got to get to the next show. There's really no... Like, why do we watch TV? Because we want to know what's going to happen on our favorite shows.
So it's more or less like, what's it going to make it? What does a pay-per-view like TLC stand out from a Raw that's already 3 hours?
Exactly.
Like, what can they do on there that's totally different? Or, I mean, I think real quick is that, like, for NXT, War Games, like, that's something you're not going to see on TV. That's I like that. I like that. That's a gimmick show that you have to watch and see, kind of thing. So, is it almost like to just bring back more, not silly things, but just kind of more cool, gimmicky kind of matches, or what? I don't know.
No, like I said, you got to set the table better. You got to build to these things.
Okay, so you say you need something that's going to sell you to subscribe back to the network. Like, there's one thing that gets me every year that I'm always interested in. Does the Royal Rumble itself sell you to watch the network?
No.
No?
And you know why? Because as much as we love the Rumble, what do we like about the Rumble? We like that we're going to find out who's going to main event WrestleMania.
The surprises.
Well, did we get any surprises last year? No. We didn't get a surprise last year.
Well, no, we did. We got some NXT guys that randomly popped up.
Those aren't to me. That's not a surprise. Those are members of the roster. I don't care. You especially now that it's being considered a third brand. That doesn't do it for me. And quite honestly, I think most people were tired of the surprises anyway. And the funny part was last year, I basically guessed what was going to happen, except backwards. I remember how Becky Lynch won the Rumble. I remember them saying that they should have Finn Balor lose to Brock Lesnar, and then have him win the Rumble. And I think that would be and that's exactly what happened to Becky Lynch. She lost to fucking Asuka, tapped out to Asuka, but somehow still won the Rumble.
You bring up a good point, though, Mike, because if we go back to when we were growing up, we had the 4 main pay-per-views: Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. And now when you look at those shows now, Survivor Series isn't even Survivor Series anymore. You know what I mean? It's just Raw versus SmackDown or something like that. So I feel like that's like not even a must-see anymore. SummerSlam used to be the WrestleMania of the summer, and it's still kind of up there. It's still okay. But Rumble and Mania are like my must watches, you know what I mean? To where the past few years there haven't been any crazy surprises, but I'm kind of intrigued this year with the whole NXT being on TV. Will they have a factor in that Rumble, or will they have any kind of stance in that this year? So I'm kind of interested, especially what's going to happen with that. So I mean, Rumble and Mania are my big go-tos, so I feel like I'm still hanging on to those, but I feel like Survivor Series I could care less about anymore. It's not as big as what I liked it for, just the special teams and whatnot, to where now it's, I mean, I don't know, but it's almost like dying off to where, Cooter, you said it, too many pay-per-views. Like, everything's starting to mix together. Like, what's the difference between a 3-hour Raw and a 3-hour TLC? Just the name, and just because you have a tables, ladders match? Like, you could have that on a Raw anytime, so...
Right, and you barely, and you almost kill, like, a Japanese schoolgirl, which I know you loved, but, it was cool. I mean, wait a minute, you're not a big fan of Crown Jewel, Credo, or... Greatest Royal Rumble, or
oh my God, no! It's Blood Money in 2020. Should be interesting to see how we get there, but no, that's the thing though. It's like it's I'm trying to think while you're talking about that, to where what are they making money on? Like, is it just merch? Is it just ratings and commercials or whatever? And how much money can they save if they just cut back the pay-per-views and almost made like a top, I don't know, not like a top 4. I know you need to have more pay-per-views than 4, especially in this day and age, but it doesn't need to be like exactly 12 or more or whatever, all these extra pay-per-views or 2 pay-per-views a month. Cut back on the pay-per-views, make them more special, and then I feel like you get more people that would want to tune in or want to buy the network and whatnot. But yeah, it's almost like whitewash. Like everything's just getting washed in our face to where what's the difference between a 3-hour Raw and a 3-hour pay-per-view?
Here's a question for you. When you talk about cutting costs, you don't think the gate covers the cost of the pay-per-view itself?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, what's the like? Does it affect them if they lose a pay-per-view to where like, oh, they lost money, but they could just do a regular show and make that same kind of money in a way? You know what I mean? To where cut back on those shows and just make them more memorable. But
here's the thing with that. I would love to see them cut down a little bit and build more stories. But with WWE and their creative team, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. Because we all know how they rush things, and then if they have too much time, they have no idea what to do.
Weeks and weeks of Lashley and fucking
they either recycle the same thing we saw last week, and they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again until they get close to a pay-per-view, and then they start building. It's like I want to see it spread out more and not too many pay-per-views, and I don't want to see pay-per-views back-to-back every 2 weeks. But then again, it's just that writing team, the creative team is like they don't know what to do at short time. They don't know what to do when they have extended time. It bugs me out, man. It really does. They're supposed to be like the NFL of professional wrestling, and they sometimes they just can't get it right.
I think the one greatest thing that happened this week was NXT itself. The build for it, the matches on it, and it goes to show you that you don't need a takeover to have a fucking awesome show. You don't need to have an extravagant pay-per-view or just build to a pay-per-view. Build it to get people to watch it on TV. Because, I mean, if I think about the build with Finn Balor and Adam Cole and stuff, it was probably like a 2-3 week build or whatever to where, like, who's going to win the number one contender match to get to this match and then what happened. And then even going on to Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler to that kind of a big a loss, losing the championship on TV. You need more of that. You know what I mean? Like, you need more championship changes, or it has to stand out more like that to make me invested to get the pay-per-view next time, because look at the ratings this week. NXT beat AEW, and like, it's just, I think it was that great 2 hours of television that they put on for wrestling. And that's what you have to do. You make the television shows a must not miss to make you want to buy the pay-per-view.
It's the one show a week that, like I said, I'm invested in, and I like its continuity. Like, I feel like I can't wait to see what's going to happen next week. That's how television should be. There shouldn't be like meaningless shows. I mean, granted, every television show, whether it has 13 episodes or if it's like 28 episodes or whatever the fuck the case may be, there's always going to be maybe a dud or two. But when you're going like 2-3 weeks in a row with just crap television with the same matches and a lot of talking and not a lot of action, hey, you know what the best, I didn't watch it, but what everybody keeps telling me, the best match on TLC were the two people who are least promoted on the card, and that would be Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black.
Yeah. It was. It definitely was.
And wow. I mean, why the fuck? I don't get it.
It's 20. I'm telling you, man. It's 2019, 2020. We can have a future show on the first week of January, but I'm telling you, what Triple H is doing with whomever he's doing it with for NXT, you fucking need to take that formula and put it on Raw and put it on SmackDown, because the guys of yesteryear who are still running these shows, they need to get with it, man. They need to update what they're fucking doing. And NXT, out of every show going on right now, whether it's AEW, whether it's Ring of Honor, MLW, whatever, NXT is doing it right, and that's what I feel like needs to be the benchmark for all these shows. So I'm hoping 2020, some people take a break or vacation and let Triple H handle other things, if you know what I mean. So I'm telling you, NXT has been the benchmark show of who to kind of compare their stuff to.
not just building. And when you're talking about their writing style, it's not just the way that they build stories. It's the way that they've built people, the way they built up a Keith Lee, the way they've built up a Rhea Ripley out of nowhere. Even I'm even starting to really like that Cameron Grimes.
Yeah.
And what's his face? Not Damian Sandow. What's his name? Damian
Priest.
Damian Priest. Holy God, this guy comes out of nowhere, and he could work, and he's got a great little gimmick, and they're really doing good way of building him. Shit, they're even starting to build the Kiwi Buzzsaw there. Very nice. What's this? Travis Banks making his way over from NXT UK.
Yeah,
and the crowd's starting to get behind him. It's like they are building stars as well as storylines. It's unheard of to see both happening at the same time on a brand.
Now, what do you guys think about this? Because this is, I always say it's Triple H. It's Triple H. Is it because, not because Triple H was a wrestler, or, I mean, this has been his life, because, I mean, then you have the other hand, you have AEW where, okay, you have the Bucks and Cody and all these, the wrestlers, quote-unquote, running the show, but I feel like it's not the same of what Triple H kind of is doing, and why do you guys think of that? Because, I mean, when you think about Vince or Kevin Dunn or whoever's running Raw and whatnot, it's the entertainment aspect, but when you think of, like, NXT, I feel like that's a pro wrestling show, and I don't know, is it just because Triple H is doing it, more experience, been in the game, quote unquote, no pun intended, longer? I don't know what the dynamic is, but it's like whatever he's doing or how he's doing it, I don't know. I feel like it's so much better than a lot of these other things that we're getting all the time.
He's all right, in touch.
There's that, and he's not trying to play to a niche audience like AEW is. If you catch my drift, where does NXT have the indie feel, Mike? Do you feel like yes to a certain extent?
Does. To a certain extent, yes. It's always had that feel.
Right, but at the same time, when you look at AEW, as great as some of the in-ring action is, and maybe it's a little overkill because the lack of selling and the kicking out of finishers, et cetera, but they do a lot of that like underground indie mud show bullshit, as Jim Cornette would say, that is over with like a small niche of fans. It's not a mainstream type of enjoyment. Can they fill up these arenas? For how much longer are they going to be able to do this? Because
you saw those pictures. Yeah, did you see those pictures?
Yeah. Because when you see some of those people talking about that fucking miserable tag team of the Dark Order, I wasn't a fan of them years ago when they used to have them on fucking Ring of Honor TV.
Yeah. What's funny is that I am starting to see a pattern of people that I talk to from like when I said about it on the show a few weeks ago, where like I wasn't watching AEW as much just because I feel like I've seen it all, and then slowly but surely all these other wrestling fans and people I know, whether it's at work or just other places that I talk to other wrestling fans, I start getting people just like randomly saying like, oh, things that just they don't like about it, or it's not keeping them their attention. Like you said, they're going to that small niche of fans. And it's I'm starting to see a pattern though of like all these other people that are starting to agree with it. Like, their luster is starting to not shine as bright as what it did when it first came out. And I mean, 2019 was an incredible year because just for pro wrestling fans everywhere. I mean, look at all the companies from Ring of Honor, MLW, AEW, WWE, New Japan. The world was shining with pro wrestling this year. A major boom for every company. But 2020, guys, I think we're going to start to see some pegs get knocked down a little bit because, I feel like there's only enough room and only enough money for certain companies to like withstand these kind of companies and shows and whatnot. So as good as 2019 was for all of wrestling, I think, now we're going to see how it gets filtered out through the years and who's going to be, the strongest to survive.
I think the problem AEW has right now, and you guys can agree or disagree with this, is the fact that they had the formula that got them here and got them on TNT, but instead of adapting to the change, they're just sticking to the same formula that got them there. And you don't want to try to fix anything that's not broken, but just like you said, Cooter, and I completely agree with you that now that they're on TNT, which is a huge platform.
Yes.
They're not just catering to the hardcore fans like ourselves. You have casual fans. One guy who said this, and he was on this show recently, Vince Russo, said, "What is it? Why is Joe Schmo flipping through the channels going to stop and watch this program for? Like, what is the reason why he's going to stop? I mean, he has people like myself hooked watching because I know their formula and I enjoy it, but they're not adapting with is what I'm trying to say. They're not changing things up. They're sticking with the same formula. And to me, like, I mean, I love AEW. I'm supportive of it, but it's like this past Wednesday, I'll be completely honest with you guys. As much as I'm an AEW supporter, I have not watched AEW yet because NXT booked me for Wednesday night, and I've been so busy I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch AEW.
Yeah. One other thing I was saying, where I was starting to get all those casual people that I talk to for wrestling, where they're almost kind of telling me the same thing about AEW. It's almost like people, the Dark Order, they're having these promos on the Dark Order where it's not getting over with people. You know what I mean? To where I go back to the All Elite Wrestling name. Not all these guys are quote unquote elite in the wrestling world, so it's like it's hard to capture viewers. And I think what AEW is failing at right now is that they're trying to tell all these immaculate stories, and they only have 2 hours a week. WWE has 8+ hours to get all these stories over, all these guys over and whatnot, to where that's fine. In the WWE world, they can tell stories. They can tell Lana Rusev sex stories because they have the time. AEW doesn't have the time. They need to go back to what made them cool, and just not even get too crazy with storylines. Just stick to the awesome wrestling, stick to the fast-paced matches, keep the show moving. Don't settle on a stupid story that you only have a few minutes to try to get over. If you want to try to get stories over for AEW, do it on YouTube. You have plenty of time on there, but when you have 2 hours each week and someone's clicking through those channels, I'm not going to watch this fat piece of shit with a mask on sitting on guys. Like, what the fuck is this? I don't want to watch. This isn't wrestling to me. Or whatever. Like, you need to capture the fans better. And I feel like they're falling into the TNA, the old school TNA fault of trying to be like WWE. Do everything that WWE isn't doing, and then I think they would succeed more. Right now, I said it to other people, MJF, you guys all agree. MJF is great right now. Why? Because A, he curses. WWE can't say half the shit that he says. B, he's just that heel kind of a character that WWE wishes they could have in a way. And right there, with that mark alone, is that you have to do what they can't do. Don't try to tell a cool whatever story for the wrestling world. Just do stuff that WWE can't. Fucking beat him in the ring. And beat him with, the cursing in a way. And I'm not saying the fucking curse as I'm cursing every
Fuck all that,
every moment, but I feel like they need to not fall in line like TNA did to try to be a WWE. They just need to be AEW and just be everything that WWE is not.
I'm going to say two things about some stuff you just talked about. You said AEW has to be that brand. They have to be what brought them to the dance, right? What made them popular. You know what made them popular? A bunch of shit talk. It was like, oh, we're going to be so different. We're going to be so different. Have they really been that much different than WWE? No. They tell bad stories, and they have stupid gimmick matches, same as WWE. They just have different guys doing it, really. That's really my opinion on it. And it's not nearly as entertaining as what I see. I don't want to say from WWE, but even though NXT. The other thing you said, MJF, monster heel, right? I think WWE had somebody who was a monster fucking heel until they decided to ruin him. He was probably just as good as a heel and just as great at getting heat as MJF. I'm going to say Baron Corbin was WWE's best heel of the year. And I think he was amazing. I know a lot of people want to say he had that go-away heat. I disagree. I think he had that right kind of heat that made you want to hate him the same way you want to hate MJF.
I turned on AEW the other day because I'm still trying to catch up on my DVR to try to watch it. Like I said, I don't hate them. I'm just trying to get to the point to like understand it more, and like it's not capturing me. And I got to a point where they're talking about Joey Janela, and I forget who he was wrestling. I want to say Dean Ambrose maybe or somebody, and they're how Joey Janela either wants to be taken seriously as a wrestler or whatnot, and I'm like, that's not what brought him here. What brought him here was being that fucking crazy guy doing stupid shit, and that was that. Don't bring him into this dance and then try to have him be a fucking, whatever kind of a wrestler. Like, that's not who he was or how he got to this dance. Like, don't just automatically within 5 weeks try to make him like a submission whatever kind of specialist of that's not him. That's not what I look at when I see Joey Janela. He's just a fucking crazy wrestler, and that's what he should be.
Don't talk about jelly Nutella to me, okay? Just don't do that to me.
I'm saying we need to make sure like that sell like hotcakes.
If he wants to be taken more seriously, and then his Joey Janela spring break comes along, and he wants to be taken so seriously that he decides not to book Invisible Stan versus Invisible Man Part 2, I'll be fucking pissed. Okay? I'll be fucking pissed. I want to see that rematch.
That was fucking stupid, okay?
I know, and you want to know something? Sometimes, I like stupid shit sometimes because I understand that promotion, that show, is just for the gag. It's just to kind of make fun of things. It's just to you have so much serious wrestling going on that weekend. It's good to have a stupid comedy show. That's why I enjoy that match and I enjoy that show.
I get why you like it, but I think the whole premise is great for a one-off, maybe a once a year.
That's what it is, yeah.
I get, but my whole point is that's Joey Janela's thing. You can't bring him into a mainstream promotion and have him be different than that. But on the other hand, again, the stuff he does is only good for like once a year. He doesn't belong there in any way, shape, or form.
He's like the Cactus Jack McFoley. Just put him in hardcore matches. Don't fucking try to have him do a fucking Iron Man match and a regular kind of wrestling match. The dude got famous for jumping off a 12-foot, whatever, 200-foot building.
Roof.
Yeah, and almost died. Like, that's it. Like, I'm sorry. I don't hate him. He's been on the show, but I'm saying keep him a special kind of attraction. He's not, don't bring him in and try to make him Bret Hart of like whatever, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. With that said, I don't know. That's what it is. But guys, I mean, this is great talk. I want to get into this. I mean, 2019 has been a crazy boom period for wrestling. All these promotions, we said it, and especially with Ring of Honor. So without further ado, let's bring in Maria Manic and JB.
All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in to another wrestling podcast. This is your interviewer of the stars, JB. Today we're speaking with somebody who is always, it seems like, always in the news for something. Welcome back to the show, Maria Manic. How are you doing tonight?
I'm alive, somehow. After the last time I was here, I could have died many times, but yeah, I'm alive.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Obviously, a lot going on in your life, and I want to just say the last time you were on was October of 2016. You had just moved from Virginia to New Jersey. How's
16?
Yeah. How's it been?
Last time I was here, I was blonde and no muscles.
I wouldn't say that, especially not now, but you can say that.
I feel like that was before the whole transformation, yeah. It started out as like one transformation, and then it turned into like another giant transformation, and then like a third one. And I keep thinking that like I'm done, like I can't change it anymore, but then it keeps happening. So, but I'm kind of changing back to my old self a little bit right now. I think that's just with dating Teddy, because he's so like, he's almost girly, like, he has the sparkles and the glitter and stuff, which I used to do. So now I have a little bit of that, but I'm still the man-eater. I'm still like, that character. But it's, I guess, like almost going backwards just a little bit in a good way. So I like it.
The ever-evolving Maria Manic. We're super happy to have...
I gotta say, I don't think any wrestler has evolved as much as me. Like, I feel like I take the fucking crown for that.
how important was that to you? You know, we've heard you talk on interviews. We've seen you say that, you know, when you first got into the business, you were kind of told that you needed to be one thing, and then, you know, obviously you did that for a while and that didn't really work for you. So how important is it to you that you can finally feel like yourself, you know, in this business?
I think it's you know, I've always been confident with the way that I look, and I think, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, it was confidence that I, you know, purchased. I went out and purchased a tan, and I got fake tits, and I purchased fancy makeup. I didn't earn any of those things. Now it's like, I don't give a fuck what you think of me. You're going to look at me and realize I work hard. You know, whether you're attracted to it or not, everything I have, I earned, and it's not something that any girl can just go out and fucking put on. I consider myself one of a kind because you can't just, you know, grab it. You got to work hard for it. And I think that's why my look kind of stands out from the rest, because, you know how much effort went into it. Absolutely. I think it's important for girls. Like I said, you know, when I started, it was a lot different. Like, even though it wasn't that long ago, like, you know, there was this idea that you had to have this certain look to, you know, make it. And now you look around and the girls that are making it all look so different, and there's no like, you know, specific mold you have to fit. And I'm so glad I didn't waste more time in my career trying to be this person that I thought, you know, I had to be, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously women's wrestling in 2016, things were starting to really kind of come to light about, you know, the women's evolution and all of that. And, you know, right now is a really good time, I would say, for women's wrestling. It's always being highlighted now. It's there's a lot of women's main events. There's all female pay-per-views, all of that. But even with all that going on, do you think there's still room for improvement within women's wrestling, or do you think that you've kind of hit like a plateau as far as women's wrestling goes?
I don't think there's a plateau. I mean, you know, I'm like the biggest advocate of intergender, and you know, it's hard to say. I don't think intergender should be done all the time, but my idea, and everyone thinks I'm crazy when I say this, but I always fucking say it, is that wrestling should be based on an entire weight class. So, you know, I'm a little bit smaller than I usually am right now, but, you know, you've probably seen me when I'm really jacked up. I'm about 200 pounds. So why can't I wrestle another guy that's 200 pounds? If, you know, if we all understand how wrestling works, which we do, we're not stupid, you know, why can't what is unbelievable about me fighting a guy same size as me? And yeah, I'm aware that he probably is a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, you know, maybe a little bit smarter in the ring, but it's wrestling. The odds aren't always going to be set exact. I look at some guys in real life, and it's like, I could beat your ass in real life, but you don't want to get in a ring and wrestle me because your ego's too big to, you know, possibly let a girl get anything on you. But I think that's kind of the final turning point where it's like, okay, wrestling is an equal sport. It's, you know, we're all kind of, but then, like I said, you know, I guess it doesn't make it special if all the girls do it. But I think that would kind of be the last thing to make women kind of equal, I guess you could say.
Okay. All right. Now, you know, I grew up watching wrestling in the 80s, and, you know, women were used sparingly, and then even in the 90s there were some wrestlers who were female, but, you know, not really the amount that we have today. Overseas maybe, but we had, you know, in the Attitude Era, you have the Luna Vachons, you have the Chynas, but, you know, nowadays, a lot of the females, even though they all look different, there aren't a ton of them that I would say are the dominant females, such as, you know, what you are. Do you think that wrestling's missing more of those dominant females, or that it's a good mix?
I think you're right. It's missing it. And I don't know, but maybe there's so many women now that it's just harder to, you know, spot out the ones like that. Whereas back in the day, it was just China, really, you know. But I do agree. I think they are kind of missing that one dominant role. And I mean, other characters that are, somewhat similar. Like to me, like Nia Jax is great, but I don't see her as that kind of role. I mean, I think Beth Phoenix was the closest they've had in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could go back at any time, anything like that, who would be your dream opponent if you could wrestle anybody, and would there be any specific stipulations to that match?
All right, I'm gonna give you the basic answer, but I'll put some twists on it. I would say China because, like, I don't know, she's the one woman that I want to see her so badly. I want to see her in person because I've asked everyone. I said, what is she, like? Sign her up for me. Like, how big is? You can't always base things off the internet of how tall people are, how heavy they are. You got to see in person. I said, I want to see this girl and see how much bigger she is than me. See how much taller she is. See how much more she weighs. See if I feel like I can actually take her. So I would love to have a match with China, but I would love to have a death match with China because you all know I do a lot of that shit, and I don't think that is up her alley, but I'd like to force that upon people that I know are not comfortable doing that. And it takes them out of their comfort zone. So I would love to have a death match with China. I don't think that's ever going to happen, unfortunately, but that would definitely be the dream booking, and I think a lot of people would pay money to see that.
Oh, absolutely. You talk about that extreme style. It's something that you've become known for. You wrestled in H2O Wrestling, CZW. Is this something that, again, we see so little of that now, coming from the Attitude Era when it was commonplace, and you saw a little bit of it as far as mainstream wrestling goes with AEW. We know it happens kind of in some of the independents around the world, but is this something that you think that belongs, even if it's in small doses, on the major brands of professional wrestling?
Yes, but like you said, I 100% agree that it's not something you can do all the time. It needs to be small doses. When I first started the deathmatch stuff, I got kind of addicted to it because you get such a reaction with the death matches without necessarily having to work as hard. I mean, you're enduring more pain, but you're not working as hard, and you kind of get lazy. And it's like, hey, if I do this crazy spot, or if I get busted open in the head, everyone's going to be entertained, but it's like, you can't rely on that stuff. Now it's like, I don't have any plans of doing a deathmatch for a while until it's like necessary, unless I've built up a storyline for a long time and it's like, all right, this is the time to do it. Whereas before I was kind of just doing it for no reason. I think getting on TV will be hard just because, it's so, it's a lot for like a random person to flip on the TV and accidentally see. But I think there's a way to go about it. There's a way to have, a little bit of hardcore, a little bit of blood, but not be, covered. I don't think Glass would ever be on TV. I mean, GCW is doing great right now with the deathmatch stuff, so I would like to see them do something on TV. I
want to talk to you a little bit about things that maybe people who are just listening to this who aren't affiliated with professional wrestling professionally, I'll say, but just are fans or whatever. These are things that we hear about as fans all the time, and I just want to know, because they're definitely a part of your daily life. In wrestling, there are obviously the things called dirt sheets or whatever you want to call them, and they're constantly telling us fans, things that are maybe true or parts of them are true or whatever. How does that affect you as a wrestler? Do you ever read them? Have you read them? Are these things that you stay away from? And like when you read something about yourself, how does that affect you?
Oh, I could care less. I feel like I'm the one person like does not give a fuck. Like I just do everything that's controversial, and I almost feel like I intentionally do things that are controversial at this point because I like to hear what people have to say, and it shows you like who your real friends are. Like even I'm sure you've seen the YouTube stuff I've been doing the past like 2 weeks, pretty recent. But there's the people that I see talk shit online, and then my real friends who check up on me and make sure I'm okay, make sure everything's going right. And those are the ones that care. And I think especially the last like 4 years, I've had a lot of bad controversy, but also a lot of good controversy, so it kind of weighs itself out. And at the end of the day, it's like, if you're talking about me, then I'm doing something right. This is a fucking wrestling. It's entertainment. You're entertained by me. I've never met someone that said I'm boring or they're not entertained by my life. Whether they hate me or love me, you're entertained. That's what you fucking asked for, being a wrestling fan. So what do you know, what's the issue? So I like to keep things kind of bad and good, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. But with the dirt sheets and all that, as what I do here, I just want to ask about this. Right now there's a lot of wrestling companies out there, probably more than there have ever been, and there's always this question of like where the rankings are, and it's kind of just understood that WWE is the number one, and I guess that's all subjective, number one in what,
Yeah.
I guess, money and whatever, but and then the other companies kind of fall under that. So you are currently with Ring of Honor. You're going to be wrestling on December 13th at Final Battle, which I want to get to in a second. But recently on the dirt sheets and around, like, Ring of Honor's been a big topic of discussion. So what are your thoughts on Ring of Honor itself, and how do you feel working for that company right now?
Yeah, so I know there was a ton of controversy on that. I actually tried to stay out of that, honestly, as much as I could. It had nothing to do with me. I mean, there were a couple different scandals, so it's hard to even pinpoint one. I mean, all I gotta say is I I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I don't really see everything. But I looked up, I get screenshotted all the good information. But I think people were upset with their specific situations, which I understand because their situations were not that good. But all I gotta say is my situation is I'm very happy with it, or else I wouldn't have signed for another year. So I'm very happy with my situation. I do agree that I'll say, I'll just drop the name. I don't really have time to remember her names, but Kelly Klein. I'm not going to disagree with her issues. I'm sure her issues were valid, but I don't necessarily think she was anyone that should be complaining because she was given a lot. She was pushed as the top star for a while. So, if I were her, I'd be pretty happy with the situation. But then again, yeah, you weren't making that much money. It sucks. I signed with the company a lot later, and things were a little bit different. So I guess I got lucky. But I'm not going to speak on anyone else's behalf. I'm happy with the company. I know, and the biggest thing they were saying is that we don't have safety precautions, which is just not true. I've always felt very safe there. I've seen people get injured, and they're always taken care of. In my opinion, and I don't bullshit. I would never lie about something. It's a very safe working environment. It's very happy. It's very fun. There's actually not drama at all, which is crazy because every locker room there's cliques and secrets and everyone's shady, but it's very open. The girls are very nice too. I was nervous coming in because I knew I was going to be doing some stuff with the guys, and I didn't know how the girls would feel about that. I didn't know if they would kind of hate me for that. And but they're very cool, they're very understanding of my character and my situations, and I don't know, everyone's very uplifting, so I'm very happy. We had our first summit meeting 2 weeks ago. It was great. We all just got together and kind of talked about the future and moving forward and how we want to better ourselves, because obviously we're not doing the best right now. But I think even they said I've only been around Ring of Honor for 6 months, but they said in the last years every company has lows, and if you come back up, you never stay at the bottom as long as you keep going. And at the end of the day, Ring of Honor, we have some of the best talent in wrestling. Nobody can argue. Are we the best company right now? No. Are we getting the most views? No. But we have some of the best fucking wrestlers out of any company. So I think if we all work together and fight it, we're going to do really well. We're going to be back on top soon. Absolutely. Are we going to be number one? No. But can we be number 2 or 3? Fuck yeah.
And
I'll fucking make it happen.
And that's what's crazy about Ring of Honor too, is that I think that the name gets thrown around a lot and people are very familiar with it, but there was a lot of history in Ring of Honor, and a lot of the people who are still in the business today and considered some of the best have walked through there. So I think it's important for Ring of Honor to stick around, if for no other reason, just to be another option for the wrestling fans. But we're so happy that you're there. I want to just talk to you real quick too. This December 13th, not too far away, as a matter of fact, it's going to be here literally on Friday night.
Oh God.
Yeah, You make your Women of Honor debut. You are fighting the one and only Angelina Love. Can you kind of talk to us about what this match means for you and what your thoughts are against your opponent?
So I've known Angelina since I think since I got into business. I met her when I was maybe 18. Very nice, very helpful. She's at the end of the day, no matter what you have to say about her or her wrestling, she's been around the block. She knows what she's doing. She was one of the first women to kind of actually get in there and start fighting at a time when the girls weren't really doing much in the ring. I have a lot of respect for her. And I remember saying, like, I usually wrestle guys. And maybe I said it to Bubba Dudley. I said, if there's a girl I'm going to wrestle, it's going to be Angelina because she's a tough little chick. She's real small, so I'm a little nervous. I get nervous wrestling with real small girls. I feel like I'm going to kill them on accident. But like I said, if I could pick one, it would be her. I think we're going to put together a nice fucking match. And it's kind of one of those things like, the longer you make me wait, the better it's going to be because I have all this built-up anger because it's like I fucking sat there. And I'm not just in Ring of Honor. It is what it is. But, like, they kept me sitting there on the bench for 6 months. Crazy. So it's like I got a lot to let out now at this point. A lot to prove. I haven't gotten my time to shine yet, I've gotten to go out and, fuck up security and fuck up this and that, but I haven't gotten a match. I haven't gotten to wrestle. And I feel like I'm being doubted by the fans. I think they think the company's trying to hide something. Like I can't wrestle, so they're keeping me back and not having me do a match, which just isn't true. I can keep up with I can keep up with anyone. I can keep up with the fucking dudes and have a fucking, I work with anyone's pace. So give me that opportunity and I'll, prove you guys wrong. So I'm glad it's finally here. But it didn't register in my brain that it's in like 4 days, so that makes me a little nervous. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Sorry about
waking
that.
me up on this Monday night.
It's important not to look past Angelina Love. Obviously, it's going to be an amazing match and a hard-fought battle.
I will say she's probably in a lot better cardio shape than me. I will give her that. So I'd say her best bet, realistically, is to outrun me. Just fucking run. Get away from... Because once I get her, she's done. You know what I mean? Keep fucking running around the ring. Blow me up. Then maybe she can get... That's her best bet, if she knows it. If she knows I don't got good wind in me.
What's next after Angelina Love? What do you see yourself doing after Angelina Love?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, when you're in a company where you don't make the rules, it's different than just the indies where you show up and it's like, hey, I want to do this tonight, and so usually you can. I want to wrestle this person, but it doesn't work like that in a company like this. But I would say my goal would be to be wrestling men and women in Ring of Honor. I don't even like the name women. We are part of the main. I don't think Women of Honor should be its own little side show. We're on the fucking show. We're Ring of Honor. We're all wrestlers on Ring of Honor. Now, I'm sure some people would fight that and say, "Oh, we want to use it." I mean, it's my opinion.
No.
I get heat for everything. I get heat for everything I say, so I just fucking say it at this point.
No, that's it's refreshing, obviously, and it's a part of you, and that's why we're here tonight. And
I think some girls say too, it's like, oh, you're downing the women by wrestling men because you think you're too good to wrestle the women. I said, no, I'm building women as a whole, because if I can go out and wrestle women and have a good match, but I can also beat this guy and then come back down and wrestle the women and show that we're just as equal, then I'm helping everybody.
Absolutely.
That's my opinion.
I think it's one of those things too, is that there's still kind of this, probably, as you know, like the stigma of it's probably the same as when in the 80s it was kind of a land of giants, and in the 90s you started to have the smaller guys that would run around and jump and do flips and all of that. And so probably some of the older guys were like, I don't want to do flips. I don't want to like do that kind of style. And so probably some of the people see you as a dominant female and think maybe some of the women think, oh, I don't want to wrestle men, and
yeah.
And I think that's probably what will be expected of me, so they're a little nervous, but there's room for everything.
Exactly.
That's my thought on it. But
I think that's a good way to feel, though, because I get nervous when I see people doing flippy high spots, because that's out of my comfort zone. But I've been realizing lately, like, fuck, if I watch something and it scares me because I know I can't do it, I need to get my ass to the fucking gym or get my ass to the fucking ring and learn how to do that shit. Even if I don't do it in a match, I should know because, you know, if you're scared of something, that means, like, low-key, you really wish you could do it. When I see people do fucking moonsaults, I'm like, that's crazy. It makes me nervous, though, because I know I can't do it. I'm going to fucking learn. So I think people doing, you know, like you said, girls see me doing shit, you know, and you might get a lot better.
I would also want to talk about it's, you know, at this time it's December. It's the holidays. Obviously, I'm always very interested in what people do outside of the ring. So, are you a big celebrator of the holidays? Do you have any traditions that you do? Any movies that you have to watch this time of year? What's Maria Manic do for the holidays?
I don't know. I mean, last year was horrible. Last year I was like alone in my fucking house on Christmas. So that was bad. That was like the wrestler year where I was like, man, I've cut out everybody in my life just so I could try to be successful in wrestling. I spent every day. I looked good a year ago. I was like jacked fuck. But I spent every day alone, going to the gym, going to training, wrestling, and I cut out everyone from my life, and I was so miserable. This year, at this time, I have like a boyfriend and almost like a little family we have, and it's so nice, and it makes me appreciate all the work I put into wrestling because I have people to enjoy it with, and like, not that this has much to do with the holidays, but it just made me realize like all that hard work is not worth it if you don't take care of yourself personally and take care of your own life, because that's so important. You know, wrestling is not everything. Wrestling is a job, but it's one day that's going to go away. You can't wrestle forever. You have to have something else. So this Christmas, I'm very excited to have people to share it with, whether it's people or my blood family or not. I have people that I want to be around and want to see. So I don't know. I don't know what we're doing for Christmas. I told him that we're going to go see like Christmas lights so we can pretend to be festive. My boyfriend said he doesn't believe in he doesn't like Santa Claus because he says Santa Claus is a child predator because he has little kids sit on his lap. So that's his ideology on Christmas.
For any kids who are listening to that, they're just joking. They're no.
We're totally joking. Let's hope no kids are listening.
No, I don't think they are. But I wanna see too. There are two types of people in this world today: the type that believe that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and the type that are wrong. So where do you stand on that controversy? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
You know what? You're gonna hate me because I've never seen it.
Oh, come on!
How many points did I just lose?
Well, no, I'm excited because hopefully what'll happen is that you'll after this interview you'll think about it for a little bit and then maybe you'll watch it and then that's something that I've given to you. So I'm not mad. I'm not even disappointed. I just I think everybody should give it a go for sure.
There's so many movies that people bring up in conversations that you know how old I am, right? I'm young.
Oh yeah.
I'm only 20. I'm 22, so like. There's so many movies I haven't seen, and I feel so bad when people bring it up, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know.
Well,
but I'm going to watch that now. What's it about?
Oh my God. It's classic, like, Bruce Willis is in it, and there's kind of like it's like one of the early action movies that is pretty classic, but it just so happens that it falls around the time of Christmas. So even though it has really nothing to do with Christmas, a lot of people watch it during this time of year, so it's definitely something to watch.
I say if a movie has snow in it, then it's a Christmas movie, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That's where I stand on it. So, I definitely appreciate you giving us this time tonight. There's so much more. I really, we said this the last time we talked to you, but we've only begun to scratch the surface with you. I appreciate your commitment to continuing to be the best Maria you can be, even if that is not easy all the time. It's inspiring to say the least. And the last time we asked you kind of what was the best advice that you'd received getting into the business, but today I want to ask you, since it's been some time, what's the best advice that you could give to somebody who's wanting to get into this crazy business?
I would say before you even start, find the one thing that makes you different, no matter how fucking stupid or weird it is, whatever the fuck it is, that one thing that makes you you. Not as a wrestler, just you as a person. And hold on to that one thing, because you're going to go through so much shit and people are going to change you and the business is going to change you. But you got to have that one thing that makes you you. And I can't even say I have that anymore, because I say to myself, I don't even know who the real me is. I just know who Maria Manic, the character, is. I don't know who I really am. And I wish I had held on to that, because it's so easy to forget who you are. I sound crazy. I'm not crazy. Well, I'm definitely crazy, but you know, you don't want to get too caught up in it, because it's not, like I said, it's not going to last forever. And sometimes that one thing about you as a person is going to help your wrestling character. You don't want your wrestling character to be this fictional thing that doesn't exist. You want it to be an extension of yourself. And that's where I went wrong. I created this character and I became that character, so I am that person now. But now it's like I try to zone back to myself, and I don't really know who that is. So just, remember who you are, and don't let anybody change that.
Awesome.
It's hard, but
that's good for just anybody's knowledge, not just professional wrestling. So we know that we said social media is a big part of the world today. Where can fans keep in touch with you? Is there places that they can find out where you're going to be, merchandise, anything like that? For anybody listening that wants to know more about Maria Manic, where can they find those things?
Yeah. So I'm banned from Twitter, you know that.
Yes.
No Twitter. Instagram is the Maria Manic. And then my new YouTube channel is Maria and Ted's Unfiltered Adventures. Children, do not watch it. It's extremely R-rated, but it's fun and it's funny. I've been having a lot of fun with that. That's like the best place to keep up with me. We're trying to make a website right now, me and Teddy, so we can have our dates. And I think it'd be awesome if the YouTube channel keeps doing well. We can have little meet and greets. If we're gonna be in a certain town for a show, maybe we can meet some fans, even if it's just 4 people. Like, that would be awesome for us. I do really quickly want to give a shout out to my boy. He's in the car with us. His name's Roman Rosell. I'm gonna grab him on the phone just for like 30 seconds. He's been training with us. He just had a WWE tryout. I just want him to kind of get familiar with some of the wrestling fan base. So I'm gonna give him the phone for like.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, what's up, brother? It's Roman Rosell.
Hey, how's it going, man? Welcome to another wrestling podcast. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking.
So we know that. Traveling with wrestlers and being someone who's kind of new to the business, they really tell you that some of the best ways to learn things is kind of just to keep your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut. Is that something that you've kind of seen that is helpful, or is that kind of something that's different nowadays? How have people been treating you as a newcomer?
No, I mean that's pretty accurate. But I can't ask for anything more than what I've been given right now. As far as I'm basically surrounded by excellence. You know what I'm saying? And that being with people that have been around the block and kind of know the ins and outs really kind of help. As far as like with the etiquette, what to do, what not to do, my left and right limits, keep me in check and protect me at the same time. So. I couldn't ask for anything better right now, But hey, that's what I'm used to, being around the top 1%.
That's awesome. Now, you just had a WWE tryout. How did that go?
Oh man, it was amazing. I can't really, say so many good things about them, like over and over and over. Like they really they showed me a lot of love. I can tell you that much.
That's awesome. So for anybody out there that's listening to this and wants to know more about you specifically, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can just Google my name, Roman Rosell. That's ROMAN ROZELL, Roman Rosell. Yeah, I know RR, but understand there's only one Roman. My life you can't script, man. It's the real deal. I'm a retired Green Beret, husband, father of 6, and current 35-year-old athlete at the Arizona State. I'm a wrestler there. I just made history as becoming the oldest Division I wrestler to ever compete at a D1 level. So that's what I said my whole life. I've just been used to being with the top 1%, whether that's with the Special Forces, Division I athletes, training with the Heart Foundation, the top 1%, you know what I'm saying? But you can find me on my Instagram at Roman Rosell, Twitter, Facebook,
A lot of
check out the good.
a lot of inspiration here. Some days I find it hard to even crawl out of bed, and you all are so accomplished, and it's awesome to see what this business does. It brings out some of the best people, and I want to thank you for everything that you're doing, and we would love to have you on the show at some point as well. So keep up all the good work.
Sure, brother. All right, man. I'm gonna hand you back to Maria.
Awesome.
Top lady in the business. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
All right, she is. Hey, thanks.
No problem. Thank you.
Sorry, he's a lot cooler than me. He just taught me.
Well,
he's a Green Beret. I'm like, well, I punch guys in the face sometimes. That's my job.
well,
and I bleed out of my face.
It's super incredible to watch this journey again. We'll have to have you on again, just to keep seeing what you come up with, and
hopefully more than once every 4 years this time.
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna blame that on our other correspondents, and I'm not gonna take the heat for that. So
no, you are gonna blame me, because you guys have been trying to schedule this for the last month, and I've said yes about 15 times and then not answered the phone or not texted back. So that 100% my fault. But I'm just so bad at because sometimes I don't know what my day is gonna be like. So just now I was asleep in the car and you called and I was like, oh my God, the podcast. But I just don't know. I don't blame. I'm not responsible. That's what it is. Honestly.
Listen, it is totally fine. We're just happy we got you, and thank you so much. We really appreciate your time, and I'm no doubt hearing about you or from you soon.
All right, once again, thanks to Maria Manic and JB. Ring of Honor, guys, like I said, we talked about them last week. I mean, I don't hate them. I love Ring of Honor, and they have a crazy talented roster, but it almost seems like it was depleted when a lot of guys left and whatnot. But it's almost like, I think one of you guys were saying before, it's not that, they keep doing the same formula. I feel like in this day and age, with all these companies on TV or semi-TV deals or whatnot, from NWA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, MLW, AEW, WWE, all these companies, what do you have to do to be different? You know what I mean? To to just stand out again in the world of wrestling. So with 2019 coming to an end, guys, I mean, what else? Anything strike your brain?
Well, let's congratulate PCO first of all. If you want to talk Ring of Honor, that crazy son of a bitch had put his body through some of the craziest shit that we've seen the last couple of years, and a man his age shouldn't be doing shit like that. You would think, and he does it, and he looks great doing it. The guy deserves, a nice little run at the title. Let's be honest here, but. In 2020, I let's just say this: Ring of Honor, they gotta keep some guys on that roster. I think if they lose Marty, I think that's going to be a real big deal for them. I mean, PCO can get them a nice little nostalgia feel.
Marty's done. Marty. Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone.
Yeah, I think he did some tapings for them, but other than that, that's it. From NWA, he's actually just promoted to be at Northeast Wrestling coming up soon, so he's on that little move to all these promotions until something happens in 2020. But I think at the end of the day, I don't see WWE signing him. I think that's going to be a straight AEW grab, just because it's the friends of friends, right? I mean, for me, Marty, the only thing good about him is his gimmick. I don't think he's a great wrestler. I don't think anything stands out about him that would.
But that's the thing. Half the roster in WWE is not great wrestlers. They just have great gimmicks. There's a lot of guys like that.
Right,
you know what the difference is? The difference is Marty sells merch. Marty's a fucking cash register when it comes to selling shit. And if he keeps that gimmick and introduces it on a bigger stage, he's gonna make some serious fucking money, and WWE is gonna make some serious fucking money. I honestly think in NXT, if they put him in there, you're talking
that'd be so rival against his buddies. That'd be funny.
That would be cool. And you know what? There's a lot of guys that he could wrestle over there that I'd enjoy seeing, as opposed to the 2 or 3 matches you could see in AEW.
You don't think he's going to be the international vice president over at AEW?
I think that's
another
stupid.
VP.
Oh, that's
He's gonna be
need.
the UK, the international vice president.
Well, his girlfriend's Deonna Purrazzo, I believe. I don't know. They were.
She's in NXT, isn't she?
Yeah, she had a little Raw debut this weekend, even though she's still NXT. They just had her go against Asuka, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that is right. But who owns the villain gimmick? Because didn't Piper
He does.
didn't Piper though used to have those villain T-shirts or something? Who had those? Somebody had them,
He
right?
had the hot rod.
No, but then I could have swore he used to wear like.
He did have a villain one
at one
back
point
in
later
the
on.
early 80s.
I don't know. I just remember seeing him later on wearing it. I don't know, but all right. I mean, fair enough. I think it could be. It's such like I feel like it's such like a tease, like where he's gonna go. Then at the end of the day, it's just gonna go to AEW and whatnot. But I mean, we'll see what happens. It is. What it is.
I think somebody like Marty's smart enough to see what's going on over there. Like, all right, when you think of 2019, what was the biggest thing that really changed the landscape for all the companies involved?
I think AEW just getting a major TV deal. I think that's the kind of deal Ring of Honor should
Stop
have
there.
gotten. All right.
Stop there. So you're saying AEW getting a TV deal. Mike, you're next. What's the biggest thing of the year that you think changed the landscape for all the companies involved?
Honestly, I think when AEW made an impact, no pun intended on the Impact company, when they announced that they were opening the brand, I think that kind of woke everybody up.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Kenny Omega signing to AEW was the most important thing that happened in the year. And I say that strictly because when you look at the body of work that he's produced in 2019, he's been absolute garbage. Because who did he work with when he was in New Japan? Great workers. Now he's a good performer, very athletic, but when it comes to showmanship, he's not very good. He's a fucking dancing, prancing, jazz hand fucking puss cake, and
he lost his luster too.
He did. He lost his luster. If he would have went to WWE, I said this last year, they would have made him a huge star because he's already a huge popular person. If they would have just shined the little edges on him and, he doesn't want them tinkering with his character, this and that. They know how to make a big star like him an even better star. Look what they did for AJ Styles.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like when Finn Balor came. I mean, Prince Devitt, like they're changing everybody's names, and then Kenta changed his name, and that was like a weird time period. But then I think they got rid of that and realized, no, if they got big on the indie scene as Kenny Omega, let's fucking buy him as Kenny Omega. Screw that you own the stupid name or whatever. But that is exactly. I think what you said right there is 100% because. As big of a star as he was, going to WWE would have cemented his legacy as like one of the top guys ever. Now it's just like, oh, he's teaming with like whomever, and he lost that top star quality, and I feel like he was taken down a bunch of notches. Even though I'm not saying anything bad about him, I think he's still one of the greatest wrestlers in the world today, but he's not on that top pedestal, if you will, anymore. And there's a lot of other guys that are clamoring to rise above him right now, especially since, he did what he did. And, that can almost go to Marty Scurll to where maybe he's looking at it that way too, to where if he goes to AEW, he'll just be in that AEW thing. But he knows maybe a place like WWE can make him an even bigger name than he ever was. So,
well, you got to be careful too, only because of the fact that you brought up AJ. And AJ's a star now, but you got to remember when AJ first came in, if you don't remember listening to AJ on the Austin podcast, Vince was trying to tinker with the character where he wanted AJ to drop the phenomenal and call him the Pitbull.
Oh, my God.
He's like, you're a Pitbull. You're a Pitbull. You go out there, you're rabid. You're a Pitbull. And then AJ went out there, and the fans just kept calling him the phenomenal one, and it sold T-shirts. And Vince just left it alone.
Exactly. So, you don't think Kenny couldn't do the same thing?
I don't think. Well, hold on. But I'm just saying, like, damn well Vince is going to try to sprinkle his little Vince dust on it first to try to change it in his direction until he sees that it's not working and it's going to stay with the cleaner. Vince is going to try to finagle it regardless.
First off, the cleaner is a fucking stupid gimmick.
Fucking
Can we
broom.
be honest?
You get what I'm saying.
A broom with barbed wire?
Oh my god! I was like,
Mexican?
really? Yeah, it's fucking stupid. It's the dumb. It's like he makes fun of all the fucking dumb gimmicks that WWE had over the years.
The custodian.
Like the garbage man or the whatever. Yeah, you're a fucking custodian. Great thinking, Kenny.
Moppy.
So now we're on this topic. I'm sitting back and I'm thinking about this, the cleaner. Like, I want to know, like, what inspired him to call himself the cleaner? Like what is he cleaning? Like, I remember at the beginning of his career, he used to come out with a broom. I remember that in New Japan, and he used to like I don't know why he used to do this. I have to find a video and send this to you guys, and I have to tweet it out there for people to see, where he used to like sweep and walk to the ring at the beat of his theme song, and it was so weird. It really was. I need to know why he calls himself the cleaner. That's what I need.
Not like the finisher, but like what do they call like pitchers? It's not like the like. What even
Closer?
Like the closer, like that would have been. Yeah, I know. I'm
you know what's
thinking,
weird?
Like,
the only thing that I can think of is that, like, when I used to play, partners in pool with a buddy of mine, right? He'd always say to me, he goes, "You break, and I'll clean up. I'm the cleaner." Like, I get that. Like, he's gonna
but he never
run
did
the
that.
table,
Yeah.
right? He's gonna run the table. He's gonna clean it up, and that's his way of saying I'm going to be the guy who wins us the game.
But there was no
like
broom
I get
involved.
I get the metaphor behind it. You know what I mean? But he takes it too literal. Where he needs to have a fucking broom. Are you dumb?
That's what I'm saying,
and
man.
that's why I can't stand him. Not only every 2 seconds with his hands shaking like he's got fucking Parkinson's and shit. Like, stop it, bro. Dancing and prancing and fucking posing like a fucking video game retard. Yeah, PC is getting thrown out the window at the end of this show, Credo. Holy fuck. Kenny Omega is garbage. He could have been something, and he decided to go for the money and control as opposed to having fucking money and a legacy that you could be proud of.
Oh, I said it, man. No, I agree with you. I said it too, because it's like you're at the top of this game, and I know, granted, I mean, you take that popularity and you try to run with it, and you try to compete with the WWE, and that's what they're doing. I mean, AEW, at the end of the day, they're competing with them, especially when they're dropping names all the time on their own damn show, and they should just leave that alone. But you know what I mean?
So
like,
pathetic.
When you do that, you're just gonna get run over and backed over on and run right over again from them. And it's like, don't play that game. Just, if you want to do your own thing, that's great. Do your own thing. But when you start trying to compete with them, that's where they're gonna fucking shut you down. And man, like, I'm just thinking, if I was Kenny Omega, I could have had the chance to be immortalized, like in a WrestleMania. Like, that's the big. Nothing will ever top WrestleMania in the wrestling world as like the biggest show ever.
I main event
pun
in
intended.
the Tokyo Dome.
Fucking
cool.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I would have at least signed with him for like a 2-year deal, 3-year deal, something short.
Not even. If he even would have done a year.
I know.
Right?
Goldberg.
I said this. Fucking exactly. I said this last year. If he would sign to them for a year, okay, let them polish him up. Let them show him how to be a star.
Yeah.
You know, how to act in the ring. His in-ring psychology is garbage. I don't care what anybody says. It's garbage.
It's Japanimation.
Yeah, exactly. Take her with him a little bit. Show him how to really get over. And then go to AEW and bring that big, massive audience that watches Monday Night Raw or SmackDown with you. You'd be the first Scott Hall. I said it last year. But no, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, you know, that's you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But that's what happened to him. I mean, I agree 100%. And it sucks. But I mean, that's the gamble I guess they have to take with that. And I don't think we'll ever be eating our words right there, because it's like he'll never be in a WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like, no matter who you are, you say WrestleMania, whether you're a fan or not, you know that's wrestling. You know what I mean? Like WrestleMania. But when you say like Fight for Glory or whatever their fucking pay-per-views were, or whatever, I don't even know what their pay-per-views are because they keep changing. But you know, like, nothing's gonna like what is that? But when you say like just to be a part of WrestleMania, I don't care, man. If you had me for a year there, I would have loved to just be just that alone. I don't care. You put me on Raw, put me on SmackDown, give me a WrestleMania match, and that's it, man. Like, I don't know.
He would have been if. Let me ask you. Here's a serious question, Mike. I want to get your opinion on this. All right. If Kenny Omega had signed to WWE last year, is that the main event, or is Becky and Ronda the main event?
I still would have thought Becky and Ronda would have been the main event.
You still think that? See, that's
Yeah, and
that's how.
That's not knocking it. Just that, you know, I think they had that Becky Ronda being the first female main event. I think they had that booked way in advance.
Okay.
No, well, yeah, I mean, that's what happens. I mean, 2019 came with all these changes. I mean, throughout our shows this year alone, it was the build-up for like, oh well, you know, they got this company. It's gonna debut here. We don't know when what's gonna look like. We talked about it for months, and then it finally came out. You know what I mean? Like it built, and that was great anticipation for what they were doing. But now that they're doing it every week, I feel like, you know, things are not falling apart. And like I said, I'm not hating on them that much, but it's just, you know,
I am.
It isn't what it is. You know, it is what it is now. But you know,
it's a steaming pile of shit. That's what it is.
You know, they definitely need to find their own feet again. They definitely need to stop trying to be. I'm not saying they're trying to be WWE, but I feel like they just need to do their own thing and not like drop WWE's name on their show every week, or you know, or that whole Britt Baker thing, and like
it's got to happen once an episode, Credo. It
does. But like for them, I think the greatest thing they could have done. It was great to see Chris Jericho be the first champion, but they can't hold on. They can't make their champions last for like 6 months like WWE does. You want interest, you gotta like have these title changes happen on Dynamite. You gotta have them happen on TV.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
But I feel like
you know
just
why
to
I
get
have
the
to
fans
disagree with you on that one?
talking. Why?
Because they don't have much of a roster. They can't pass that thing around. Next thing you know, Brandy Rhodes is going to be holding the fucking title, for Christ's sake. I mean, honestly, the roster, when you look at who's on there, it's not all that big of a roster. It's just not. Outside of a Moxley or a Cody and a Jericho and a Hangman Page and an MJF, the company has been around for how long? And you already want them to have multiple champions?
I just want something to entice the viewer to actually tune in each week, because I mean, even Jericho's inner circle is like half the roster. Like, you can't have that many guys on your inner, like have like one guy, have like a guy be like your bodyguard, but you can't have like 5 guys and like that's like your whole show. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was too much of a big NWO move.
Yes.
In too little time. Like, maybe if that built up through the years, like you saw these guys like helping them every so often and just build it up. Like, it's like 1 week we're debuting Impact or Dynamite, and then the next week Jericho has like 5 guys on his team now or whatever. I'm like, but that's like everybody. Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And a lot of these moves, we're not wrestlers. We're just fans watching it. But this is what we're talking about. All these wrestlers that have podcasts get to talk about all their inner dealings and why they did these things and whatnot. But listen to us. Listen to the fans, the guys who fucking watch what you're doing. And
the guys are paying for it.
Yeah, and the guys who aren't going to be watching what you're doing. So kind of like, that's what's good about our show, Another Wrestling Podcast, because we get to talk about what the fans want to see, and we are the fans. I think we're fans of different demographics. We're fans of like different things. We like different things, and we hate different things. And like, that's what's good about doing these kind of shows, is because we're the ones actually paying for it. We're going to your shows. We're buying your merch. We're watching you every week on TV. And if we ain't watching you, that's not just us. That's like, we have the same tastes of a lot of other people in the country, a lot of other people in the world. And if it's just coming from us, I feel like other people feel the same way. They might not agree with us 100%, but I'm saying, we kind of fall in the line of like, we're the unspoken minority, or whatever, the voices of the voiceless, or whatever. I don't know, but that's it is what it is, man. And we're not trying to hate on this. We love wrestling. It's in the fucking name, Another Wrestling Podcast. That's what we're doing. Like, it's what we love, So if we're talking about it, if we're hating on it, we're not just hating on it. We want to help you guys out there. So if you're listening, listen to the fans. Listen.
Can we get off the hate train?
I was gonna say, let's do it.
Let me ask you guys a question, because this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a bit. You guys watched Raw, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
For me, I thought Raw was terrible. However,
Yes.
shining light in that show. If you
I
guys
never-
caught it, the Becky Lynch promo.
Yes.
You guys catch that?
Yes.
I fucking love it because they finally addressed the elephant in the room with Asuka. Okay, she basically said the company is protecting her. Like everything she said was real. First of all, the company is protecting her. She says all her opponents need her. She doesn't need them. But in this case, she needs Asuka because she brought up finally the one loss that we've been talking about that the WB just swept under the fucking rug.
Oh
They're
yeah.
talking about it 10 months later or 11 months later. Finally. I freaking loved that promo. I thought it was amazing. Becky is just great when it comes to cutting those serious promos. This was awesome. I want you guys' opinion on this. Like, just how do you guys feel about that?
You know,
Is
not
this
even.
something you're looking forward to now?
Well, not even just the promo. I think it's you take a bad situation with Kairi Sane, take that lemon, and now you make lemonade with Asuka kind of a thing to where, people, I think they even asked Alexa Bliss and the Sheenom, what's her name, on the backstage. That's her nickname, right? I can't even think of her name, but I can only think of her other name. But anyway, they're talking to them on backstage. I think it was about, how is the women's division dead because Ronda Rousey isn't there anymore and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, she's not the only part of the women's division. How they focused it solely around her, and it's like people like Asuka got lost in the mix. And it's like, look at how they built her to be undefeated, to go into WrestleMania, to lose to Charlotte and whatnot. Asuka is a big name for the women's division, and they just kind of like slid her over into a tag team, and it's like, you're just going to forget that she was undefeated for over, you know what I mean? Like, so taking that moment, though, with Becky, and then kind of like taking that incident with Kairi and then putting Asuka back in the spotlight, going with that promo, I think will help hopefully round off their women's division to showcase like, hey, yeah, she might be part of the tag team women's champions, but she's still a big part, and that's a big elephant in the room of that never having to beat her kind of a thing. So I think it's great for the women's division and for Becky to step up and for them to just bring that to attention and to like do a promo on it is beyond all the gibberish I just said of everything else. You know what I mean? So it's a good foot in the right direction, especially for 2020, and they need to build even more onto that, because it's almost like we were saying when Becky going into Mania had all that momentum, and then after Mania just started to like, downstep of like, what do we do with her now? And like she needs like villains, right? She needs people to go against, and she needs good opponents, and like how can you not talk about one of the big elephants, as you said, in the room of Asuka of not having beaten her. So I think it's great.
I'm going to say this. I think that was a very powerful promo. I think on Raw, she's the best promo on both Raw and SmackDown. I think she's amazing. A lot of people like to talk about that Charlotte is great at promos. I think Charlotte is too overproduced, too overwritten for. She just overacts. She tries to be too much of the queen as opposed
Doesn't come out natural, right?
Yeah, it seems like she's acting, you know what I mean? Where Becky is very passionate and it seems real. And again, like you guys, we're going to beat a dead horse, addressing that elephant in the room of that crazy booking that was never ever acknowledged. And if I'm not, but didn't she win the title from Becky, like the SmackDown Women's title?
No,
Becky?
she was already the champion at the time.
That's right. No,
Becky was challenging for the title because then a couple weeks later on SmackDown, they took the title off of Asuka to put it on Charlotte.
I could have swore that she had beaten Becky for that title.
No, she won the title at TLC, Asuka, in the ladder match where Ronda interfered.
That's correct.
She had the title, and Becky challenged her for the title.
That's right. Okay. But even still, there's a lot of good things going on in the women's division, and it's not just Raw, especially NXT. I see somebody like Rhea Ripley being as good as Becky one day. I think she's halfway there. I think she's more impressive in ring than Becky. She's short and sweet with her promos and just as fucking passionate. But Becky is that fucking she's got the fans behind her right now, and it's about time. That's one of the things that I said in 2020. I'm looking forward to a little bit more Asuka, because when we got Ronda pushed down our throats last year, I was kind of hoping, hey, let's see her go up against somebody like Asuka. That was the one thing that they never really pulled the trigger on, and I think that would have been real intriguing. But now that we're getting her back into the mix with Becky, I'm good with that.
You know what? And we talked about earlier about how, like, the WWE is terrible at building stories and stuff like that. But I think this might be the only place where they actually are starting to do a good job.
They got lucky. They planted it.
Yeah, exactly. They got
lucky.
This was a lucky shot. They didn't do this on purpose. They're like, well, we did. Well, let's just go with it.
Yeah. And, other good things, though, have happened throughout this year. And I just came across a picture. I don't know if you guys watched it. I haven't watched it yet, and I've been meaning to, and I'm going to take my time off over the next 2 weeks to watch it. But the NWA Power, I forget his real name, but Damian Sandow, hilarious photo of him in like a karate gi and I forget their championship
national title.
Yeah, the national title, where he said he's like the third degree belt national. Like, it's just it's a silly fucking thing, but it's like, it's so wrestling, like, make you kind of like escape from reality to laugh about stuff, to where it's not too hokey, but it's perfect wrestling, like just humor. Where he took his belt to put like 3 stripes on it, like a karate belt, like third degree, whatever. Hilarious. So I need to check it out. But with this year of AEW trying to be WWE and NXT competing with everybody, what stood out this year, and I've only seen a little bit, so I can't talk too much about it, but NWA almost took a few steps back. Went to like a small televised audience. They're filming it like they used to in the 70s or whatnot, right? To where it's almost like going back to that
studio wrestling, man.
Yeah,
studio wrestling.
And it's almost like everybody's trying to be the next WWE, but it's like, well, we don't need to do that. We can kind of, make it simple, keep it sweet, and keep it for like traditional classic wrestling fans. Have you guys got to watch a lot of this, or do you think they could stand out more in 2020 with this kind of a format?
I honestly love NWA Power. I really do. It's like you get...
And they're doing it in seasons, right? Like season 1, season 2, or kind of like...
I don't know how they're doing it.
For you, it's on YouTube, right?
Yeah, but they're doing it every Tuesday night at 6:05. They release it on YouTube. I don't know if they're doing it on seasons, but I never heard that. But what I like about it is because you get a crappy Raw, and then Tuesday I can kind of sit back. And not only that, I can sit back and watch it anytime I want when I get home. I don't have to run home at 6:05 to watch it. It's ready to go. And it's just like you said, it's like an escape from reality. It's a great produced show. They got great wrestling. It gives you that old school feel, especially when they're cutting the promos and they go straight to the ring. No one has theme music when they walk to the ring for the studio shows. They only have theme music for the pay-per-views. Yeah, they don't use theme music at all. They just walk out like they did in old school.
Huh.
That it's different. I like it, and that's the formula they're going to stick with for 2020. I think they're going to have a bigger year, to be honest with you.
Who did they get to replace Cornette on commentary?
Stu Bennett.
Oh.
I'm afraid I got some
He's
bad
not
news.
bad. He's not bad, actually.
No, I'm not saying that he's not. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying he's not. I didn't. He surprised me because I didn't think he was going to be that good, and I listened to him. He was actually not bad at all.
Now bringing that up though, what they did was do something nobody else is doing. Like, I mean, you look at a lot of the companies now. Without naming them all again, but any company, whatever company, they're all trying to be the same. They got to have that big entrance screen. They got to have that big, the music. They got to have pyro. They got to have whatever, and they're all trying to be that same thing. But it's like you look at NWA, where, well, let's just do it like they used to, kind of a thing, and it's like that's making them stand out to be different. A lot of other companies between like MLW, Ring of Honor, and stuff, they're almost getting lost in the mix. In a certain way, and other companies too, but I mean, it's almost like find something that makes you stand out or different, and then almost like go with it. You know what I mean? I think that's what's the main goal for I think a lot of these companies that need to do in 2020, because when you put them all on the wall, and if you're watching them all at the same exact time, what's going to stand out to you? You know what I mean? So it's almost like NWA, as simple and as easy as what it looks like, that's going to stand out more than a lot of these other shows. And it's like, I think a lot like Ring of Honors, New Japan's, whatever. I think they just need to figure out a way to redo their show, maybe refilm it. You can't just reinvent the wheel, but just take it and make it look different or something, just to capture somebody's eyes, to just stand out. They just need to stand out. And what they're doing at the end of the day, long story short, is that they're standing out in the simplest way possible, and it's working.
Let's close the show talking about what our favorite fucking moments were.
All right, right off the top, man, I'm gonna throw it out there just to be short and sweet. Is that CM Punk? He didn't return to the ring, but he returned to the WWE in some kind of aspect to where I didn't think that would have happened for maybe years down the road. And yeah, he's only on every so often because I heard the ratings tanked last week without him, or this week without him. And it just goes to show you that kind of star power, man. You can't just make up. People want to see him. He has a fan base, and if they're smart enough, they'll fucking use him in the ring too. Because I want to bring up one thing. I don't want to bring it up. I'll talk about it later on. But Punk, just CM Punk being back, even though it's not wrestling, I think is huge for WWE.
There's so many stuff. It's hard to choose one thing, like a moment. Because there's a lot of stuff. There was a lot of good stuff. There was a lot of terrible stuff. Crap. When it comes to moments, I can't pick one. I could pick, reactions to matches. Like my favorite match of 2019 is freaking Tyler Bate and Walter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
To me, that's a moment because they put themselves on the map with that fucking match.
Walter was a standout star for me this year. Not just that match with him and Tyler Bate, but the one with him and Pete Dunne at TakeOver WrestleMania was amazing too.
I remember.
You know what moment really sticks out for me this year was that backstage promo that Daniel Bryan had, where he was basically by the concession stands. Do you guys remember the promo where we were all in awe of him when he had that fucking hemp title around his, and he was the new Daniel Bryan, and he was talking about how fucking people were fucking selling their wares in the shitty merchandise stand, and he hit the guy with the fucking milkshake.
Yeah,
it was one of the best promos ever, and we were just in awe of him. And then for him to build himself so well and put over Kofi Kingston at Mania was just an incredible moment, too.
Yeah, I mean, what a comeback story. Just for that, when did he come back exactly? It was 2018 that he officially.
Yeah, he was at WrestleMania. He was fucking McMahon's, your buddy.
Now, I was going.
Yeah, going into 2018.
Wow, I don't know, but, just coming into that thing to where anything could happen. We see a lot of guys retired, and when I was going to bring up quickly that it's still kind of on your favorite part, Mike, the interwebs. I'm reading that Edge has apparently signed a WWE deal to wrestle again. I don't know what allegedly. So I mean, this could be a 2020 talk in a few weeks, but I'm kind of curious of how much truth there is behind this, because it almost sounds like a Daniel Bryan story, to where, I mean, Edge quit because his neck or whatnot, and if he kept doing whatever, he could have been paralyzed, but. I don't know. I've heard that he's been seeing the doctors, and this could just be another interweb story, but that could be a 2020 story comeback of the year, to where if that does really happen, because that's another huge name for them to have to come back. But I don't want to get too much into it. That's just looking into the looking glass, I guess. But I mean, just for Daniel Bryan, his character, like you said, Cooter, just being able, given the freedom to do promos like that, and to understand the wrestling audience, to put guys over like that, because the Kofi Kingston, that was a big thing. That was a big deal this year. The first black WWE champion, period, right? There hasn't been a black WWE champion, right? That was it. That wasn't even going to happen without Daniel Bryan. So without Daniel Bryan even coming back, Kofi just be lost in the mix again with New Day. I mean, that was a good moment. I think that's what makes wrestling great. Like moments like that to where guys who have been in this business for years and years to get a moment like that at WrestleMania to win the championship. And for that's like the feel good moments of being a wrestling fan. So that Kofi moment, man, was
great.
That was
and
great.
You feel bad for Mustafa Ali because that was supposed to be him until he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then,
But
and,
it wouldn't have been
and I
even
remember
good, though, right?
seeing that like being foreshadowed for the longest time because when he first got brought up to the main roster, and I remember him being in the ring with Brian while Brian was cutting a promo, and Brian said something along the lines of, "These people might not know who you are, but I know who you are."
Yeah.
It felt like right then and there they were building towards something, and man, I kind of wonder what could have been, because as much as it was a great moment to see Kofi finally win the big one, I think the build up with Mustafa, I don't know. I'm very curious to see how that would again, because he's really, really good cutting the fucking promo.
I will say this though, and we bring up the Kofi, and that was a big moment, and me being there live, sitting behind the stage. I will say this: that section I was sitting in throughout the night was cold, freezing, pissed off that they couldn't see the stage at all. But that Kofi match happened, and it was like it was 100 degrees in that stadium. Everybody was up. Everybody was just like into the match. And when Kofi got the 1, 2, 3, my entire section went crazy. It was like we're all sitting front row.
Hey, Credo, how was the weather in your section where you were sitting?
I had to take off. I had
section.
That's right. We were in that glass encased press box, weren't we?
The prison cell with no food, right?
I'll tell you what, though.
It's probably my favorite Instagram video. Is Credo's like, yeah, just run it, and he's like, would you like some complimentary coffee? No, thank you. I'll just drink from my free water bottle here. and poor Mike is like, you motherfuckers.
Well, you know what's funny? I do want to let some inside info, because in that press box are a lot of WWE employees, and for moments when those moments happen, they're just as real to them as it is to the fans out there, because they don't fucking know who's gonna win. They just promote the stars. They help bring the media in and whatnot. But for them watching it, they're just watching it at home like fans. And to hear the people pop in the press box and the WWE employees, it's such a good feeling as a wrestling fan, because it's like they're not in on it. You know what I mean? They're just here to help the wheel move and whatnot and work. But like when moments like that happen, it's just like one of those feel good wrestling fan things. So that's what's great about wrestling, like things like that. So
I got a question for you guys, since this is the last show of 2019 for us.
All right.
So let me ask you guys a question. 2020 is right around the corner. What do you want to see in 2020 in professional wrestling?
I got one thing right off the top of my head. I want to see less scripted promos. I want to see more, and I know it's like hard for WWE because it's like they have to kind of write it, but it's like if they have somebody that's been with them for years, like they should have like a tier. If you're brand new, of course you got to stick to the script, but if you've like have a tenure, like been there for a while, I feel like you got to get back to like cutting promos in the moment, going off the crowd. I want to see more of that real kind of moment. I would love to see it. I don't doubt it's going to happen, but it's like I just want to see more of that from the gut, going with the crowd, kind of a promo, and it's like we don't see it anymore. And I that's something that I would love to see. And I just, on top of that, which was wishful thinking, I want to see some major returns. I want to see a CM Punk return in the ring. Doesn't have to be a full-time schedule. I want to see him win the Rumble. I want to see him main event WrestleMania after all the fucking shit that he never happened to him, just to be like a nice kind of a thing. Because I'm a CM Punk fan. I would love to just see that. I know it's wishful thinking, and it'll probably not happen by the end of January or whatever, but a moment like that. I want to see something like that happen.
Where do I begin? Well, I'd like to see less talking and more matches, especially on Raw. I'd like to see Vince go away for a very, very long time.
XFL starts up in 2020.
I'm really hoping that takes him, away from wrestling a little bit more
I
because
hope it's a success, just to get him
yeah,
the fuck
yeah,
away.
I really do because I really feel like there's just too much talk going on, and too much of his influence, touching these big brands. And listen, we can sit here and blame Vince for everything, but if it wasn't for Vince and the way he did things, Raw wouldn't be as big as it is. SmackDown wouldn't be on fucking network television. So we can't discount him. We can say that he's out of touch and a little bit too much, too many. How do I want to say this? He's just too involved.
Yeah.
He needs to fucking delegate responsibility more.
Too many yes
And the other thing for me that I want to see is I want to see either more Brock Lesnar more often or get that fucking belt off of him.
Yeah, more WWE champion.
Exactly. I want to see fucking the stars of a brand, compete for the big prize. And if Brock's not going to be there on a regular basis, then as much as I love him, I'd love to see him, but come on now. He doesn't need that fucking title. He just doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things for me, but I'm gonna keep it short. For me, I don't want my intelligence insulted anymore.
Yeah. Too late.
2020. I don't want it, only because the fact that this Rusev Lana storyline has just been pissing me off. I want to see less hokey stuff. I understand that they want to be entertainment, but I don't care for that. And I know a lot of other fans don't care for that stuff. They just want to see something that's compelling, something that can draw them in. Granted, like NXT, I want to see more of an NXT style on a main roster. Yeah. Not taking anything away from NXT, let NXT keep doing what it's do, but I want more realism on the main roster, and that will help them. That will bring the ratings.
Oh, for sure. Mike, it's so funny because when Punk left, it was like Cena. It was not hokey, but it was like they didn't have the talent or the roster. When CM Punk left, then we got Kevin Owens, then we got like all these other big names coming up, and whatnot, and it's like WWE has such an incredible roster on every show, and it's like if Triple H was in charge of every show and like how he does NXT, just make it more grand. I couldn't imagine, you know what I mean? Like that's what wrestling should be at right now, to where I can see it in this little bubble of NXT, but I would love to see NXT expand for Raw and SmackDown, just how everything is built. They don't need Rusev and Lana sex storylines. Like that's not what Attitude Era was, or I don't know what they're trying to do with that. That's not like anything anybody wants to see. They want to see great wrestling, great builds and whatnot. So it's almost like take NXT, put them on the road, get them out of Full Sail, put them on that mega scale, because if they take their model of what they're doing in Full Sail and put it into the arenas like Raw and SmackDown is doing, and then when they are successful with that, and Vince sees that their show is a lot more better, a lot better than Raw and SmackDown are doing in these big scale arenas, so hopefully something's got to give. So I'm hoping that little bit of momentum will change for them, and I think that's one thing too. I think NXT needs to get out of Full Sail and just go on the road and show them what it looks like in a mega arena. So
and for the record, I the XFL, I hope it's a success too, but I haven't really heard much about it lately. And I think even if it is a success, I've said this before, I'll say it again, Vince will be at Raw via hologram, running the show. It doesn't matter what city he's in. He'll be if he's in LA for the XFL and Raw is in Brooklyn.
How old is Vince now?
73, 74, I want to say.
He's getting up there, yeah.
He has an age well,
hologram. He's going to be running Raw via hologram, I'm telling you.
You know, it's
He's got
funny.
the money to do it, too.
Yeah, and for you saying you haven't heard too much about it too, like for working in the media, I get press releases a lot for the XFL, at least every month. I mean, when they pick the coaches, when they pick the team logos, and like we get all this information coming in. So it's like they've been building it and like who their quarterbacks are and all this other stuff are. So it's been progressively building as it's been going on, even though we don't see too much of it in the spotlight as a fan or whatnot. But yeah, I'm telling you, I really do hope it's something that it's just like great.
Everybody listening.
He can focus.
Everybody listening
Support
right
the
now.
XFL.
If you want to see Raw be good again, buy season tickets for any XFL team.
Just do it.
Buy 'em.
Just do it. You won't
Buy
regret
'em.
it. Oh man, well that's it, guys. You know, 2019 was crazy. We've had a lot of changes. JB returned to AWP, doing a lot of interviews for us. I know we're probably gonna have a lot more things in store in 2020. Guys, we've been doing the show for a few years now, heading into 2020. I think onto our fourth, fifth year. I don't know how many years we've been doing it anymore, but it's been a while.
In this version of the show, sure.
Yeah, so it's like
we gotta be kicking down a decade's door down now, Credo. Come on,
yeah,
now.
man. Yeah, and so it's like there's a lot of podcasts out there that can say, "Oh, they're on their 500th episode" because they like do one every week, every day of the week, and it's like once a week, man. You kind of build up. We're on 242. We're gonna get there. We'll hit 300 in 2020. But guys, man, it's been great. It's been a great year. It's been a great year of wrestling. A lot of haterade out there, but it's okay because we still love a lot of things too. So, guys, I mean. Happy holidays.
Oh, fuck, how could I forget?
Happy New Year.
My joke of the day.
The joke of the day? Is this a new thing?
Yeah.
We haven't started 2020 with a new show, but you can end it on a joke. What's the joke?
Well, it's not really a joke. It was more a question. I'm surprised we didn't discuss our belly button preferences.
Our belly button preferences?
And always take care.
Oh my God! I just realized what you said. Well, the tweet isn't out there anymore. And once again, 2020 Patreon account for AWP. You will understand what these little inside jokes will mean for you if you support our show. So you don't think it's funny now? Check out our Patreon account coming in 2020, and you'll understand. Why you wanna donate to help us out, right?
Oh, Credo, I want people to see what you actually say in these fucking group chats.
What are you talking about? I'm a saint, Cooter.
You know what? Me and Mike have reputations. I have a reputation for being an angry asshole. Mike is Mike. You know, he has a reputation of his own. Credo likes to play the nice guy, media, friendly. Yeah, when we're in these group chats, he's a fucking savage.
Man.
Some of the shit, he puts me to shame.
I don't believe you. I'm going to have to join our Patreon account and get into these group chats in 2020. We'll see what happens. But guys, that's a commercial right there for Patreon in itself. But 2019 out like a lamb. 2020 we're coming in like a lion. So guys, who knows? We'll have something new and improved. We like to change it up every year. Change the graphics. Throw a fresh coat of paint on AWP, kind of a thing. So who knows?
Get a new host.
Who knows what's up our sleeve? No. We need a whack pack. I think that's what we need. We need our own little whack pack like Stern.
Yes.
We'll grow. We got a lot of ideas out there. So 2020, guys, stay tuned. A lot of big things are happening. Check out anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Make sure you like us, follow us, subscribe to us, leave us a comment, leave us a review on iTunes, or that doesn't even exist anymore. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, whatever they changed it to now. Thank you so much for listening all year. And 2020, guys, it's the sky's the limit. We got a lot of good things up our sleeve.
That's right. And don't tug your peckers, bitches, and clean the lint out of your belly buttons. Peace.
And always take care.